Kyle Cheney and Josh Gerstein reporting at Politico.com tonight that as federal judges are considering these difficult cases of January 6th defendants and whether these defendants are dangerous enough that the court should keep them in jail until they go on trial, one of the newly complicating things these defendants are having to contend with and that judges are really wrestling with in case after case in terms of how to factor into their assessments of the dangerousness of these people. One of the things that everybody's newly having to contend with is that in the last week or so, former President Donald Trump has renewed his public calls to his followers about how the election was stolen from him and how he needs their help to get it back because Joe Biden isn't really the president and he secretly won. And of course, that rhetoric and those calls to action from former President Trump after the election, and on January 6th itself, those statements by the former president have been cited by a whole bunch of January 6th defendants as explaining why they did what they did during the Capitol attack. Right? And the reason their lawyers have described those statements by President Trump in most of these cases is to basically make a case to the judges in these cases that, hey, you know, my client isn't a bad guy, isn't a bad girl. This was a one-time deal. It was a heat-of-the-moment craziness driven by this singular, unrepeatable moment in time when former President Trump, my client's idol, and the commander-in-chief, was claiming publicly that the election was stolen and he needed his supporters to go steal it back for him. That will never happen again. That's over now. And so these defendants, of course, would never do anything crazy like this ever again. That is why President Trump's inciting statements on January 6th and before have been cited again and again by defense counsel in these cases involving January 6th defendants. Don't worry, my client won't do it again. That was so weird what was going on there. We'll never face that circumstance again. My client can be trusted to go home. We've seen that in case after case after case of the January 6th defendants. The problem is that defense strategy only goes as far as Donald Trump no longer making statements like that about the election. Within the past week or so, he has started doing that again in just as bombastic terms as he used after the election and on January 6th. Here's Kyle and Josh's reporting tonight at Politico.com. Quote, the fanatical Donald Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol in January are facing an unexpected obstacle to their freedom. Trump himself. Trump's refusal to accept the reality that he lost the 2020 election, reflected in a torrent of recent statements renewing discredited claims about a rigged vote, has become a feature of prosecutors' latest attempts to jail Capitol riot defendants that they deem too dangerous to release pending trial. Judges have started citing this argument in cases where they've decided to detain defendants for presenting a threat of future violence. They've agreed that Trump's rhetoric could spur his most radicalized supporters to attack again. And that could be bad news for dozens of additional riot suspects being hauled in on alleged conspiracy and police assault charges. Judge Emmett Sullivan wrote in a recent opinion ordering the detention of one January 6th defendant, quote, former President Donald Trump continues to make forceful public comments about the, quote, stolen election, chastising individuals who did not reject the supposedly illegitimate results that put the current administration in place. The judge continues, quote, such comments reflect the continued threat posed by individuals like this defendant, who has demonstrated he is willing and able to engage in extreme and terrifying levels of violence against law enforcement with a chilling disregard for the rule of law, seemingly based on mistaken beliefs about the illegitimacy of the current administration. Prosecutors have also begun citing and echoing Judge Sullivan's rationale in 5 written statements from Friday to Tuesday, meaning from this past Friday till today. Former President Trump has sought to reignite his frenzied claims that the 2020 election was stolen from him, assailing state officials who refused to entertain those claims and praising others seeking to relitigate the results. Trump has said, quote, why are the Democrats so desperate to stop this election fraud from being revealed? That answer is obvious. That was in a statement Trump made on Friday, demanding that Arizona's governor provide security for a Republican audit of the 2020 election results in that state. January 6th defendants have argued that the circumstances of January 6th are unlikely to happen again. But Judge Sullivan and now other judges and prosecutors, citing some of Trump's recent rhetoric, have pushed back on that reasoning. It's not over if they say it's not over, right? Not in terms of what they're likely to do to try to effectuate the craziness that they've been fantasizing about. Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.